Evening and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news. We're live. It's Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. There are Carabao Cup games. Just remember, we're not in the Carabao Cup because we're crap. We've not got a week off. We are out of the Carabao Cup because we're crap. And that's another reason why, people forget that we're not in the Carabao Cup because we're crap. So, another reason really, isn't it? But look, Liverpool and Man City are in the Carabao Cup. Their fans are currently singing Ollie's at the wheel. I mean, it's beyond a joke at this point. And some people will say, well, when we bounce back, they're going to look stupid. Well, we might bounce back for 10 games and then it will get messed up again, won't it? I've got no issue with Ollie. I like Ollie. I respect Ollie. He's not a Man United coach. Neither's Carrick, McKenna, Phelan. They're just not good enough. People aren't good enough at life. I did crap in my GCSEs. I wasn't good enough to get an A. I didn't do A-levels. I wasn't good enough to do it. Fact. You're not good at everything. Welcome to the world where you can get criticised for not being good at something. This ain't on Ollie anymore. This is like Ollie picking McFred. That's on Ollie. Ollie can't sack himself. This is on the board. It's just ridiculous. And what did I tell you about spin this morning? We'll talk about that. We're going to be talking about Pogba leaving. This is coming from reports today that Paul Pogba will leave Manchester United, and United have accepted it. Again, incompetence. I don't know. I almost think like United are just trying to chuck as much incompetence out there as they can at the moment, so that they don't get the heat, or there's too much heat. We'll also be talking about Conte. Very interested about Conte. I think some people have written written Conte off. We'll be talking about that. Update on Sir Alex, VARAN, social media, Pochettino, and a lot more. So lots to get into on the show today. But I thought we needed a bit of light relief, and certainly a bit of light relief if you use one of these. The champions of Below the Waist Grooming are here to save your balls. I wish they were here to save our club. You heard that right. Manscaped, the best of the best and world champions of men grooming, are here to help you stay clean and take care of yourself where it matters, like 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped. Join the movement with our exclusive offer for you, 20% off and free worldwide shipping when you click the link in the description. So what's so great about the Lawnmower 4.0, which is in my hand here? It's got a new multifunctional on and off switch, travel lock, created for people who like to travel, the ability to turn the LED light spot on and off when needed for a more precise shave. The new trimmer allows you to customise your trim with the additional guard lengths. It's sleek with a two-toned matte and gloss finish, even featuring a hot foil stamp there. Chrome Manscaped logo, very fancy. And of course, its wireless charging system uses electromagnetic induction, which can help battery life last longer. Very, very, very fancy. Alongside the new lawnmowers at 4.0, they've also launched the brand new performance package. Inside you will get the Lawnmower 4.0, obviously, plus the Weed Whacker, which is in my hand here, the Crop Preserver, the Crop Reviver, very comfy boxer shorts and a travel bag. The Weed Whacker is this. I haven't done mine for a while. Very good when you get to a certain age. You can also do your ears, and I don't need to do that. Because Manscaped care about everyone who watches the United Stands, they're giving you a huge 20% off and free worldwide shipping when you click the link in the video description. So what are you waiting for? Head over to the link in the description and check out those products. Very good products, I must add. Very, very good products. I definitely use them myself. And trim the grass to make the yard look bigger. Show some balls. Can we get some for the Manchester United board? But look, link in the video description. Big shout out to Manscaped. Give one to Ollie, says Ozzy. I don't want to give one to Ollie anymore. It's too late. I don't care if he shows any balls now. I think the damage is done. I don't want him to pick Van der Beek. I don't want him to pick Bay. I don't want him to pick Tellez. I don't want him to... As I've said before, I was talking to Adam off the channel this afternoon, and we both agreed. I want him to stick by what he's forced us to see for ages. It's almost like being force-fed bread and water watching some of his team selections over the last year. Don't deliver me a lasagna now, as a final meal. Just stick to what you've always done and then go. In terms of spin, mentioned Mark, there are images from practice sessions that have been released by the club showing everyone talking, working hard. Typical, says Mojo. Mark, it's my brother's birthday today. Can you call him a prat? He's been on Ollie out since Europa League final. Wants Conte, says David T. Well, I don't know whether he's a prat for that. Johnny B, welcome to the members club. Question mark, what did we last dominate a game for 90 minutes with sustained attacks? The standard football has been dire for months. Ollie out. Nathan, I think it's been for years. I mean, look, I know Ollie's the current incumbent of the manager job, but we haven't dominated anybody for a very long time consistently. Mark, thanks for this therapy. I wanted to ask you, why does it seem like Fergie likes the Glazers? He always sits next to Woodward, says Kane. You're asking the wrong man, Kane. I don't know anything about Sir Alex Ferguson's relationship with the Glazers. There's better minds than me that would give you a proper analysis on that. And if anyone wants to come on the show and talk about that, that's fine. But I'm not going to speak about for me, the man that's been my father figure in football. I don't even know him, but the memories, the passion. People say. There's lots to get into the show tonight. We're going to talk about Conte, Pogba, and a lot of other things, but we're going to talk about Sir Alex, so we may as well do this now. Mark, would appreciate if you could respond to my email. Please read inquiry, says Ash G, and thank you very much. I don't know, tell me what it's about, Ash, and that might make it a bit harder because it might be in the spam mail, which I don't check. Mark, you've said board shouldn't have listened to the fans wanting to appoint Ollie and now say they should listen to the Conte hysteria. Maybe the board are accidentally doing the right thing, says Sakin. I think that's two very different things, Sakin. Basically, I don't think the board should... All the board needed to do with Ollie's was wait for the end of the season like they said they were going to do. When we sacked Mourinho in the December, Woodward said they weren't going to rush into anything and they'd wait till the summer to make their mind up. They rushed into it in March when everyone was singing Ollie's at the wheel. That's what I mean. Why do we have to say they are working hard? Isn't it the bare minimum, says Gorjo? And all fans should ask themselves one question. Would you rather have Ronaldo, Pogba and Donny, or Ollie and Thielen? The future is one or the other. There's only one correct answer. I think that's a good point from Mank in Chicago. I think if you stick with Ollie, it's bye-bye Pogba and Donny for definite and maybe a few more. So that is quite a good point that's being made there. We will get Conte, have him for 2 years, win this odd trophy, and then he'll leave. In that time, Klopp and Pep will leave their team and they will get Ten Hag to carry on their success. We should do all we can for get Ten Hag, says Nick Warren. And why do we have to see... Look, we could get Ten Hag, but the club is inept. I personally think they're trying to stick with Solskjaer, so maybe you'll get Ten Hag in 5 years' time. I personally really do think they're trying to force Solskjaer upon us, which is hilarious when you see other clubs singing Ollie's at the wheel. It's an untenable position, but at the moment they clearly are trying to get the players. Ronaldo's come out tonight saying work hard for victory. I think the spin is in full spin, and I think they're going to try and stick by Solskjaer, so we'll see what happens with that. But just on Sir Alex for a minute, maybe part of the spin, maybe not. Yesterday there was a lot of people saying that Sir Alex, Romano said it as well, Sir Alex was involved in the board decisions to keep Ollie. There's no reason not to think that, but what United have said this afternoon is that Sir Alex Ferguson didn't go to Carrington to speak to the players. He went to Carrington to get a suit fitted, which he'd been planning to do for a long time. Now look, you can believe that if you want to. I would say it's very coincidental that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is on the verge of the sack, and if Sir Alex Ferguson has not had some input in that, I'd be very, very surprised. He had a massive input in Ronaldo, so why would he not have a massive input on another big decision for the club? But I think what United are trying to do there is they're trying to make it out that Sir Alex didn't have a chat with the players because it undermines the manager, which is what I said this morning. But on Sir Alex Ferguson, I'll never have a bad word said about Sir Alex Ferguson, and I won't ever condone abuse against Sir Alex Ferguson. This is a man that... we nearly lost him a few years ago. He's an absolute legend, and he might, maybe he hates social media, maybe he hates people criticising Ollie. I wouldn't be surprised if he did, because he wouldn't be the man I think he is if he didn't do that. But he cannot like us for not wanting Ollie out in the club anymore, but he can't walk away from the fact that he's influenced most of us. Like, I see people on social media criticising fans on social media. Well, what is social media? Social media is not a word. I've seen people today, journalists, talking about social media like it's a negative thing. We had Phil Neville this morning talking about social media. None of you would exist without social media. Social media is like thrown out there like it's like shit on a shoe. Of course it's got bad elements, but forums have got bad elements. Town centres have got bad elements. A night out has got bad elements. Everything's got a bad element. But social media is just the way that the world communicates now. Politicians, footballers, they're on social media. They're part of social media. So I don't like the criticism of social media. I think there is a bad element to it, but I don't like the criticism of it because it's the world that we live in. And Sir Alex Ferguson is why I have standards. Like, I don't use Ollie in or Ollie out. I use standards. And that's because of Sir Alex Ferguson. I was a little kid when I started watching United. I grew up with Sir Alex Ferguson ranting on the sidelines, press conferences, demanding more, winning trophies. That was my football education. With one or two family members, that was how I learned football. Sir Alex Ferguson week in, week out. He is the reason I have standards. I didn't wake up one morning and go, United need standards. It's the education you get, and he was one of the biggest teachers of that. So I'll argue with anybody who starts talking about records from 1989 when we didn't win for a few weeks. I couldn't give a toss about 1989. It's in the past, and it's also Sir Alex Ferguson. This is shite that we're swimming in at the moment. To compare this to Sir Alex Ferguson is massively disrespectful. Mark, even the Liverpool fans are singing Ollie's at the wheel, which was mentioned by the commentator long few weeks ahead, says Amit. Also, love from New Jersey, says Kane. Thank you very much, Kane. I want to get into the show because we've got a lot to talk about tonight. But obviously, I think the situation we should just clarify at the moment is Manchester United are going to stick by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for who knows how long. If Ollie picks all the fringe players now when he is about to get the sack, what makes him sure they will play for him now? Just play McFred and get out, says Harry. I want him to pick McTominay and Fred, Maguire and Lindelof, obviously VARAN. It's an inquiry to be a panellist, says Ash. Okay, thank you very much. I feel you should be our football director, Mark. You would make a big difference, says Faisal. Well, thank you. It brings a smile to my face because I know that would piss some of our fans off, but I would love to do it, and I believe I'd do a good job at it because I know football and I know what this football club's all about. Now, people can tell me I don't. They can call me a Forest fan. I couldn't give a shit. It's such a stupid argument, but the reality is I would take any United fan over our board because they're not United fans and they're just about the money and and the club's being run badly. I hope I'm not alone in saying Ollie being in his job is draining and tiring. A new coach coming in will be such a big boost. Yes, Connor, I felt exhausted last night. I really, really did. And I feel, but you know what? I think that somebody said it to me on Twitter today, and I don't normally snap at things on Twitter, but I had to quote tweet it. Some of you might have seen it. And it was basically like, Goldbridge and his minions and abusers are the only people who are Ollie out. True United fans are Ollie in. And I quote tweeted it, and I basically said this. I just said, well, hold on a minute. The only reason Ollie's in a job is because the Glazers are incompetent and they don't want to pay him out. So if being Ollie out makes you not a real United fan, and Ollie in makes you a United fan, but Ollie in is only in because the Glazers are incompetent and we're being mocked by everybody and they don't want to spend any money. If you're Ollie in, you're basically Glazers in, because the only reason Ollie's in is because of the Glazers now and they're incompetent. So, it's like maybe you can be Ollie in and Ollie out and Standards FC or whatever you want to call it and still be a United fan. I don't really care if you like Pogba or you don't. I do. I don't really care if you like Martial or you don't. I don't really care if you like McTominay and Fred or you don't. Still a United fan to me. I never do that. I'll never say, your opinion's shit, you're not a real United fan. I don't know why there is this obsession in our fan base, and there always has been, about elitism and levels of fandom. Like, you must not be secure in your own fandom if you have to tell people they're not United fans. I don't give a shit what you think about United. You're a United fan as far as I'm concerned. I don't spend my life trying to be a spokesman for United, trying to be the best United fan in the world. I just support this club and I know why I do. And everyone else should be comfortable why they do. I don't get it while it's always like, you're not a real United fan if you think that. I mean, it's the worst argument ever. Like, it really is. Like, have an opinion and be confident in your opinion. But as I said, we dream the same dream, we want the same thing. Every United fan I know just wants to see United winning back where they should be. I'd personally bring in an interim manager like Eddie Howe until the summer, tie down a pre-agreement contract with Ten Hag, says Baloo. Well, it's an option, Baloo. I don't know about Eddie Howe, but it is an option. Connor says, hi Mark, I wouldn't mind a brilliant display on Saturday with Donny. What else is a final meal request before execution for? On a serious note, why do you think Sir Alex is still backing Ollie, says Connor. Loyalty. Sir Alex Ferguson's a very loyal guy. Look, I even said it about Gary Neville last week. I've got no problem with the loyalty. If that's your opinion, that's fine. I just think if you're a pundit, you can't slag off everybody else for how they play and then pretend that United would just say nothing about how United are playing just because it's your mate. Conte is the board's only option and the club are too scared to appoint him, says Sean Turner. To all United fans who want Ten Hag, there is absolutely zero chance we will come here. He is closer to go to Barcelona, says Ari. Marcotti mentioned on ESPN that if matches ended on the 88th minute, United only have 2 wins this season. Just another stat to prove the point, says Wan. At this point, if you're Ollie in, you're Glazers in, as they are the same people that hired this incompetent prat and are nothing, not getting rid of him, says Aram. Well, look, I hope at some point we will replace Ollie, and at that point I actually will say quite a lot of nice things about him and what he's done at the club. But at the moment he's still here, and as I said, it's almost death by 1,000 paper cuts, because it's just going to be page after page of negativity faced down by Ollie. And as much as I don't like that, I can only be true to myself and say I don't think he should be the manager anymore. So it's hard for me to come out and protect him. The only thing I would say is I can imagine the mental torture he's going through. And I blame the Glazers for that as well. I think they should have put him out. I actually think it gets to a point in management where it's the responsibility of the board to protect that person. And, they should have protected him by removing him. Mark, how many games do you think we are winning from Spurs, Atalanta and City? Well, that's actually a poll, Mojo. How many games do you all think we're going to win from Man City, Atalanta and Spurs? I think we'll beat Spurs. I don't want to jinx it because I've been wrong so much this season. It's ridiculous. But I do think we'll beat Spurs because, maybe the pressure of... We are quite a good away team, he says, considering Leicester. But maybe the pressure of not playing at Old Trafford might help us. But then again, Old Trafford has helped us win games recently, so I don't know. I don't think we can beat Man City. I think the only thing that can help us beat Man City is the crowd. And Atalanta, I think we can beat Atalanta because they're wide open. But, I wouldn't be surprised if we get 3 wins, but I'd still replace him. But how do you replace somebody when they've won 3 times? And this was always my issue with what the board have done. He should be sacked now. What if he wins his next 3 games? You can't really sack him. And that's the point. They've given him another chance when he shouldn't have got one. We're waiting for him to lose again to sack him. He's already done enough to be sacked. And now if he wins 3 games, they can't sack him. And that's why, for me, I think they are banking on him winning 3 games and keeping him. They're just trying to keep him in a job for as long. The further we move away from the Liverpool game, the less it hurts. It still hurts a lot, but the less it hurts. And that's what United are a marketing machine. And they'll have people bumping stuff all over the place, trying to change things and change the way people think, because that's how United work. So they'll be trying to manipulate this situation to soften the blow of the Liverpool result. And Phil Neville this morning coming out and saying, well, I lost 5-0 when I was at United. It's very different to being annihilated at Liverpool, mate. Hi, Mark. I do think if Ollie stays for this week or so, then I can easily see him here till the end of the season. Our new coach is going to pop up next week, according to the Glazers. Just see it. No, I genuinely think, this is why I was so fed up last night. I genuinely think the plan is to keep him. I just feel really sad for Ollie, and he will always be a club legend to me. I wouldn't feel too sad, mate. He's going to be here for quite a while, I think. Skin says, reach out to Roy Keane to see if you can get an honest chat with him on the state of the club. Doubt Sky would be too happy, says Skin. Yeah, I doubt Roy Keane would do that either as well. I imagine he's quite expensive, but there you go. Anyway, look, we've not even got into the headlines of the show. I want to talk about Paul Pogba leaving. I also want to talk about Conte being the man, but obviously there was a few things that I needed to speak about social media and Sir Alex. Obviously, VARAN was back in training today as well. Look, VARAN is a signing of Manchester United and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Him being out injured is unfortunate. But I do think Ollie's lucky. I think Ollie's ridiculously lucky. And VARAN was not meant to be back until at least the Manchester derby in 10 days' time, and yet he's back. Is this just another example of Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw, and everybody else he's done it with, where they're just rushing themselves back to play football for a manager that really... I mean, look, he shouldn't be in post, of course, but it's lucky again. He's such a lucky manager, and, it will be Lindelof who gets dropped, and it probably shouldn't be Lindelof who gets dropped. It should be Maguire, really, but it will be Lindelof who gets dropped, and he will play him. And, I want VARAN back because I think he's a fantastic player, but it massively helps us in our chances of winning the game. Let's be honest, Mark, Ollie may win against Spurs and maybe Atalanta, but City will tear us. Yeah, you know what, Desiree, though? You always think that, and you never know. You never know, do you? So VARAN's going to be back, which obviously makes things very, very different. But also... Paul Pogba. Now, this is actually from an interview that Fabrizio Romano did with Mark Ogden, who's a Manchester correspondent for ESPN, and basically saying that Manchester United have accepted that Paul Pogba will be leaving in the summer. I mean, look, this is a new level of incompetence again, because we've been talking about this for a very long time. I mean, Manchester United have accepted in October that Paul Pogba was going to leave in the summer. We were talking about this 18 months ago. He was always going to leave unless United did something amazing. And they've obviously tried, and he just won't do it. It was so obvious it was going to happen. And I don't know why United have not tried to manipulate a situation in the last 2 transfer windows to get some value. It's Ander Herrera all over again. When Paul Pogba walks out that club, United will be like, ooh, we're saving 350k a week. Yeah, you're also saying bye-bye to 40, 50, 60 million pounds worth of player. When Ander Herrera walked out the door, that was 25 million walking out. That's how much he was worth at that point. But United they're so thick at this. They're so incompetent at this. Because a player they're not going to get paid any money for Pogba. They don't see it as money they're going to lose. But you did pay 89 million for him 6 years ago. And that 89 million is gone. Like, there's no, when you buy a player like a Harry Maguire or something, at some point you'll expect when he gets to about 30, you'll flog him to Watford for 30 million and you get some money back. With Pogba, £89 million walks out the door. But remember, this isn't the first time. He's walked out the club twice now. It's bloody embarrassing. It's incompetent. And you know what? I know that what made me laugh today is talking about spin. United are doing the right thing. They sack Ollie now, then who takes over till Conte comes in? Fletcher, says Mandor. I don't think they're doing the right thing though, Mandor, because what if we win the next 3 games? They keep Ollie. There should have been a line drawn underneath it. At least if Fletcher was in charge for 3 games, he's going to get replaced. You know what? I didn't want an interim manager. I really didn't. But if the choice was keep Ollie till the international break or have Fletcher till the international break, I would have gone with Fletcher into the international break. Because even if Fletcher had won 3 games, nobody would have wanted him. Nobody wants another ex-United player to be the manager. So interim manager for 3 games with Fletcher, I would have done that. But if Ollie wins 3, they'll bloody keep him, won't they? So I actually don't want an interim, but I would have done an interim of Fletcher for 3 games. Antonio Conte wants Manchester United to sign Inter Milan defender Stefan de Vrij if he is replaced Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, according to reports. I think this is just speculative bullshit, Suvic, to be honest. I've heard Matteo Darmian, I've heard Lautaro Martinez, I've heard Barella. I just think that's bullshit. He's not even been given the job, and people are talking about what players he's going to buy. His squad is torn. Some wants him in, some wants him out. That will show on Saturday, and I fully expect us to lose, says Sean Turner. Erez, welcome to the Members Club. United are turning into after-school club where mates stay on to hang out. Can't take another decade like this, says Jay. And Mark, your big platform, you're only recently Ollie out. You influenced other people to agree with you, and that's why you lot are part of the problem, says somebody there. I didn't, mate. I actually genuinely didn't. I find that sort of comment hilarious, but let's talk about spin. We've been doing this for a very long time, and I think the way we do this show, I know people who watch this show who would never admit to certain United fans that they watch it. I think a lot of people watch the United Stand is because we genuinely do discuss things in quite depth, and we genuinely do try and discuss both sides, and if I don't discuss one side, somebody in the chat will bring it in. So for one, it's not a dictatorship and it never has. It's opinion. And I know people who watch this show and say, sometimes I listen to you and you're talking absolute crap in my opinion. But it gets me going and gets me thinking about what I think. And that's what it is. That's what the United Stand is. It's about opinions and generating opinions. As for me going Ollie out against Liverpool at the weekends, influencing lots of people, what a load of nonsense. I've never heard such a load of nonsense in my life. Look, I've lived on this planet a few decades. I know what humans are like, and that very few humans are influenced by other people. Very few people are sheep, to be fair. And ultimately, a lot of you were Ollie out before Sunday anyway. But if you weren't Ollie out on Sunday and you became Ollie out because of me, I don't believe that for 1 minute. I think people became Ollie out on Sunday because we've taken 1 point from 12, 1 point from 9 before that. We've had a terrible start to the season. We're playing terrible football. And can I just remind you, we lost at home 5-0 to Liverpool and we're 4-0 down at half-time. That's the reason people went Ollie out, not because I was doing a stream saying I'm finally Ollie out. We want Conte because we're assuming he can't get Ten Hag. We aren't even offering him a big contract or trying to persuade him. We're not even trying, says Raven. I don't think they would want Ten Hag. And you know what? I'll just offer this up because this is exactly the sort of thing I'm talking about on this channel. I could say, go and get Ten Hag. Welcome to the Members Club, Andy Cheetham. What I can't stand is blind loyalty, says Southpaw Love Sports. I would hope the mates I have in my life love and respect me enough to let me know I'm not doing good enough. To me, that's true loyalty, yes. The protest should have kept continuing to matter how much they spent in the summer, says Phil. And Mark, honestly, I watch you for a bit of company. Love you, says Habib. Thank you very much. You know what? Let me just offer something here then. Because I could sit here and say Ten Hag's the best thing in sliced bread. We should get Ten Hag. And I'm dictating everybody, apparently. Think about De Boer when he went to Palace. He had a good reputation coming over from Holland. He had a good style of play. He was going to be a really good manager, and he was shit. So, you know, there's no guarantee that Ten Hag is going to come to the Premier League and be fantastic. I'm not enamoured by Ten Hag. To me, Ten Hag is an option I would respect and be interested in, and he's doing a great job. But Manchester United, Ajax, Premier League Eredivisie, very, very big difference. For me, and we're going to talk about Conte in a few minutes, but for me, it's Zidane for me, and then it's Conte probably now, which I will explain in a bit. I do like Ten Hag, but I'm not like, go and get Ten Hag. Did you read Harry Winter about Conte? Very convincing, especially if he doesn't mention he only left Inter as near bankruptcy and impact on squad, says Dom. I didn't, but if you want to bring that in when we talk about Conte in a few minutes, you can do. That super chat is a load of bullshit. Before you was Ollie out, most of your viewers wanted him out. People would even get mad at you for not being Ollie out, says Connor. Exactly, and that's what this channel is. I hate it when we get thrown in with other club fan channels who I think are a bit hysterical, or other outlets or other social media people who are United fans who chat vile abuse about our players and our manager, and we get thrown in with that, and it's not fair. It's like saying Coldplay are like One Direction. You know, it's like saying the Script are like Little Mix just because they sell songs. There's levels to this game, and you're right. A lot of you were Ollie out, and you were right, and I refused it. I was like, I'm not at that point yet. I think, remember what I said, when you're reading a book and you're a few pages from the end, I don't put the book down. I want to see what the full story is, and I'll tell you when the story's written. And I said this, you know what? I don't want to say Ollie out because I'm not comfortable doing it. But when I am comfortable doing it, I'll do it. Like I was 5 months before Van Gaal. I was one of the first people to be Van Gaal out. I got so much shit because I said at Christmas I'm Van Gaal out. I had to go from Christmas to May. Very long time. You know, we nearly got top 4. We won an FA Cup and I was Van Gaal out. It was very, very hard. But I was convinced he wasn't the right man. I wanted him gone. So I'll jump when I'm ready to jump. And with Ollie, it was Sunday. And I did. You know, a lot of you were saying Ollie out, and I was like, no, I think we've got to give him a chance. So, we do on this channel cover both sides and everything in between. I agree with that. Bring anyone better than Ollie, at least we'll get a top 4 finish as HK. City will find Pep replacement before we sack Ollie. I think City have already got their Pep replacement. I think that's what a proper club does. I bet Liverpool have got a Klopp replacement as well. Doesn't mean they're going to replace them now, but I think big clubs have plans in place that if something goes wrong, this is what we'll do. I can't believe a club of the size of Manchester United haven't got a contingency plan if the season goes wrong. And this is how incompetent they are. They're going to lose Pogba twice. They've got no contingency plan for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and we're one of the biggest clubs in the world. Like, it's unbelievable that they don't have a contingency plan if things go wrong. They've been left with the pants down. Really, absolutely. And now rival clubs are singing Ollie's at the wheel, and we've been embarrassed because they've got no backup plan. It's ridiculous. What business doesn't have a contingency plan if something goes wrong? It's just mad, absolutely mad. Ollie lost 6-1 to Spurs, and United was bad at first half, but he pulled us a second half. Why can't we trust him to do the same, says Daniel. Okay. We have an iceman and a fridge at the back, but can't keep things cool, says Mark Silverbridge. In boxing, a boxer can be getting battered but won't quit. A good corner man saves him and stops the fight. We need the Glazers to be good corner men, says Gazez. And Spurs draw, Atalanta draw, City lose. Also, do you think if Ollie plays Donny, will he be giving his 100% in the match? He doesn't want Ollie, then why would he give us 100%, says Aditya. I think it's a mistake for Ollie to pick Donny. I do. I think he's got to stick by his plans on Saturday. He's got to, he can't pick Pogba anyway, so he's got to go McTominay and Fred. If he goes Matic and Donny, I respect Ollie as a manager. I think he's poor, but if he goes and starts playing all the players that we want now, I'd be fuming inside. I'd be like, oh my God, all the games I've wanted you to pick Donny, and now you're doing it when you shouldn't have the job to try and save your job. It's just ridiculous. Like when Solskjaer really needed to beat Atalanta and really needed to beat Leicester and really needed to beat Villarreal and really needed to beat Liverpool, did he pick Donny? No. So why are you going to pick him against Spurs? That's my point on that. Why do you think Sir Alex is backing Ollie? Loyalty, Marcus. I think it has to be loyalty. And anyone who thinks Jose and Conte the same, go watch Inter last season. Organised attacking football. Jose is outdated, parking the bus. Exactly, Sean. We're going to talk about Conte in a minute. Please smash a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe. But I just want to say, just talking about Manchester United, I really wish they would pick up the phone. I've spoken to people from United before in confidence. I could sit here now and tell you some things that would throw certain people at United under the bus, and I'll never do it because I'm professional and loyal and trustworthy, and I wouldn't do that. There's loads of things I know about loads of people that I could just say, you know, such and such from that channel, this, you know, this, that. I won't do it because I just don't think it's what's meant to be done. I'd love United to pick up the phone and just say, can you give us some anonymous advice? We don't want anyone to know that we've rang you up, but can you give us some anonymous advice? And I say, yeah, of course I will, because I want the club to do well. What do you want to know? Social media, how would you handle it this week? And I'd say, you know what? You've just got to hit it head on. Stop trying to manipulate fans with unity and going again. Just hit it head on. And what I mean by hit it head on is don't really tweet anything about now, because nothing you can tweet. It's like the fans are in mourning at the moment. Like they don't want anything. They don't want to be manipulated into positivity. You know, if it's a legend's birthday, put that out. If Andy Cole scored a goal on this day 20 years ago, put that out. But don't try and manipulate the fans through positivity. I mean, today is a prime example. Mark, you're talking bullshit about De Boer. I bet you haven't watched any of his Ajax games. His style of play was horrendous. Nothing compared to Ten Hag. Soccer Age, I didn't compare them. What I said is that you're talking bullshit then. If you're going to be rude to me, you're talking bullshit, because I'm not talking bullshit. My bullshit might be bullshit to you. Your bullshit might be bullshit to me. I didn't say De Boer was the same as Ten Hag. What I said is De Boer came over to the Premier League and everyone thought he was going to do really well, and he didn't. There is no guarantee that Ten Hag is going to come to the Premier League at Manchester United and do well. And that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, I'd love United to go for him, but for me, I'm not in love with the idea as much as I would be with Zidane or Conte, who other people would say, well, they might fail. And what did I say a few days ago? There are no guarantees anymore. If you think sacking Ollie's the right thing, you're right, but the next manager might be getting... I mean, somebody said to me on Twitter today, oh, in 18 months, you'll be asking for Conte to go. And I thought, you fucking idiots. I might be saying Conte out in 18 months because the standards might have dropped again. There's nothing wrong with asking for a manager to be sacked if the competence is on the floor. But you've got to give them time. I've said this to Arsenal fans about Arteta. You've got to give them time. Is 18 months not long enough? Sometimes it is. It was long enough with Moyes. A season was long enough. But if they're showing... an Arteta at Arsenal, I don't know whether he'll be the right man or not, but he's building a team. He's even kicked his goalkeeper out. He's building a team. And they're gradually getting better. And the football's not too bad. And there is potential there. Mark, we missed out on a top-level manager last season. We can't miss out on another one again, says Emmanuel. Mark, would you take Arsene Wenger? Pisco? Probably not. No. Conte prefers 3-5... I take him over Ollie. Conte prefers 3-5-2, so imagine his dilemma up front, says Jerry. We're going to talk about Conte in a minute. Hi, Mark. Is it time for a new McFred? What about Donny van der Beek and Lindelof? Victor has a tackle and passing him. I don't know why people talk about Lindelof in the CDM position. I can't be arsed with talking about it. I love my club, and it's embarrassing to see... I respect that people want to see Lindelof in the midfield, but I don't know why you're thinking about it. He loves McTominay and McFred. He's never going to play Lindelof in the midfield. I love my club and it's embarrassing to see what is happening. Just make a business decision and get rid of Ollie, says Stephen Atkinson. And there was no guarantee Sir Alex Ferguson would have been good in the Premier League either, and it took a while. We need the next up-and-coming quality manager. Gabriel Noel, I totally agree with that, and I've said this many times before. Nagelsmann was the one that I think would have been interesting. What I would like United to do is go and get a Poch. Not Pochettino, who we're going to talk about in a minute as well. What about Bielsa? He's not doing a great job at Leeds, is he? I mean... I would like a manager like Pochettino at Southampton. That's the sort of manager I would like. Somebody who is clearly tactically innovative and modern and has got loads of potential to grow. Nagelsmann was ideal. That sort of a manager is what I would like United to go and get. But, you know what? I don't know. Potter... My worry with Potter is that could he come to a club like United? I think it'd swallow him up, and that's also the problem if you go with that type of manager. Dream of Luis Enrique, amazing football style. Conte equals back three, wing back, Sancho and youth, no chances. Manda. Why are people dismissing Conte about no youth and his style of football? Ollie's not using the youth, and he's got no style of football. The first thing is improve on Ollie, and you can't just sit there going, keep Ollie because I'm not sure about that guy who's won trophies. The first thing is you get rid of Ollie. That's what you do. Potter is that guy, says Sean Turner. And got to give it to EA. The board is so accurately represented in your career mode, so incompetent and persisting with mediocrity, says My Big Melons. Look, I want to talk about Conte, but there's one thing I just wanted to talk about before. This afternoon, Manchester United's Twitter account retweeted Pogba basically calling the Sun out for being liars. Now, the Sun, as we mentioned this morning, Stephen says get Sean Dyche. The Sun, as we mentioned this morning, said that Paul Pogba had snubbed Ole Gunnar Solskjaer after the game. Paul Pogba has called them liars, right? Manchester United have quote tweeted that tweet saying strength in unity, and it backfired hugely because basically Paul Pogba, first of all, how can you retweet Paul Pogba strength in unity, and everyone knows why they were doing it? That's just piss poor PR again. They've seen that and gone, oh, everybody's reacted well to Pogba slagging off the Sun. Let's use that to get everybody feeling positive again. And this is what I mean. Everyone sees what you're doing, but also Paul Pogba is slagging the Sun off for lying about him. Manchester United quote tweet it and go strength in unity to try and get this, yeah, we're all in it together. Paul Pogba won't sign a new contract. What the bloody hell is... Who thought that was a good idea? Let's use a Paul Pogba tweet to show strength in unity. He won't sign a bloody new contract, you prats. How can you use Paul Pogba as the poster boy for strength in unity when he doesn't even want to be here? Now, if Paul Pogba comes out tomorrow and says, Goldbridge is talking out his arse, here's my new contract, use that as strength in unity. But he's calling the Sun out for telling a lie about him that some United fans have gone in on Paul Pogba for. He's got every right to call the Sun out for lying about him because he's getting shit from United fans. But for United to use Paul Pogba's personal statement and go, strength in unity, well, one, it's not the time. It's not the time. People ain't going to feel that. And two, this is a guy who won't sign a contract because of the coach you've got at the moment, probably. That might not be right, I don't know. But, he won't sign a new contract. So he doesn't even want to be here, but you're using him as the poster boy for strength and unity. And that's how weak Man United's thinking is sometimes around their PR, because they think you're weak-minded as well. Is it me, or is this a City master plan? Interest in Fred, United signs. Interest in Sancho, Sanchez, United signs. Interest in Maguire, United signs. Interest in Ronaldo, United sign. And United needs own identity, says the rat who plays thing. And I think Gary Neville is the PR expert for United, says Sunshine. Sunshine, Gary Neville. If you know, you know. Driving McGoldbridge, and I think it was the pie face one. Look, here we go again. That club outside the window, Manchester United, Old Trafford, the heartbeat of a Manchester United fan. I never thought I would say this, but I do remember saying this a few years ago. Remember when we had Mourinho? Remember when we had Van Gaal? And we used to talk about towards the end what the next step should be. And it was always, do you go and get this manager, do you get that manager, do you try and get an ex-player? And I can't remember what I used to say about an ex-player. So, we've done so many hours on this show over the years. I don't know what I used to say about getting an ex-player, and I doubt anybody in the chat will remember what I said. But I don't think I was like, oh yeah, let's go and do it, because the candidates weren't that good. Maybe Ryan Giggs at that time, but I wasn't convinced. Certainly I wouldn't have been thinking about Solskjaer. Gary Neville hadn't done particularly well, had he? So I don't think there was an ex-player that really came to mind anyway. But I would sit here now, in my opinion, and say there's definitely no ex-United player that I want as Man United manager at the moment. In fact, probably one of the only ones that's shown any level of coaching that's anywhere near United probably would be Ryan Giggs, and he's got his own issues at the moment. So, but I don't want a Manchester United player to be Manchester United manager. I don't want an ex-Manchester United player to be a coach. I want a new direction. That's what I want. I want what Sir Alex Ferguson brought in the mid-80s. I don't think we're anywhere near. It's not as long since we've won a title, but it could easily become 20 years. It's very close to becoming 10 years. And I you know what? I think the thing on Monday for me was that I just felt once they'd sacked him, it would have been a new day on Tuesday. An exciting new day. The same when Mourinho got sacked. You wake up the next day and you're like, it's over. What's the future going to be? It's exciting. And unfortunately, I just feel like it's like swimming with a breeze block attached to your ankle. I just want someone to cut it free and swim freely. And I don't know who the manager's going to be, and we can talk about Conte now, but I want a new United. I'm fed up of... Look, I know why MUTV do it. Every week it's a podcast with an ex-United player, and they've got interesting stories. And, you know, I love watching MUTV when it's like, you know, old matches and things and highlights, and, you know, Hughes is 20 goals or whatever for United, or best 20 and things like that. It's nice. But I do think we've become wrapped up in our past because our past is so good. And we need to create a new future at Manchester United. And, I'm not... My issue with Conte, and we're going to talk about that now. If we're getting 1 point out of 12 and getting destroyed by Liverpool 5-0, isn't the line for a new manager then? There is no line and no standard, says Iram. I agree, Iram. I genuinely just don't know whether Solskjaer will get the sack now, because maybe one more loss will do it, but he really should have been sacked by now. And if you can get away, like you say, with 1 point from 12 and being hammered at home to Liverpool, that's relegation form and humiliation. If you can survive that, you can survive anything. And what I fear in the future with the Glazers in charge is that, imagine we get Conte and it's a bloody nightmare, right? No. All right. Conte's getting enough bad press. We'll talk about Conte in a minute. Imagine we get Ten Hag, and after 18 months or 2 years, he's been terrible. It's been terrible. It's been a bloody nightmare. And it's very obvious he's not the right man for Man United, okay? And... because that could happen. So Ten Hag comes in, 2 years later, it's a shambles. We play Liverpool at home and they beat us 2-0. And they play us off the park. Now, normally you'd think, well, that's the end of Ten Hag. He's done bad for 2 years. Liverpool have just beat us. But then in your head, you're going to go, well, Ollie lost 5-0 and kept his job. And that's, for me, the biggest concern about this week, is these people who've made this decision have put our standards to a new low. And the Liverpool result is that game against Liverpool is more than a loss in a season. There are certain results that stick with you for years. That Liverpool loss will transcend this season. It will carry on for years. Remember when we stuffed United in their own backyard and we were 4-0 at half time and we let them off? You know, that's going to stay with us for years. So I think the worst legacy of this week, and it's nothing to do with Ollie, because Ollie can't sack himself. I'm not talking about Ollie here. I'm talking about the board. They've just given us a line in the sand, which is if United standards are here, and we were already here anyway, they've dropped it down to here. The standards at this club are really low now, because you can lose 5-0 at home to Liverpool and it's all right. And that's what I mean in the future, and the Glazers are going to be in charge in the future. How, as fans, do you keep fighting against your standards being up here and their standards being down here? And that Liverpool result has basically made it okay to get hammered at home by Liverpool. Can you imagine if Sir Alex Ferguson was in charge? You know, it never would have happened with him in charge anyway, but can you imagine if we'd lost 5-0 at home to Liverpool? Now, he wouldn't get the sack off one game, but can you just be absolutely furious. I think the only reason why United persisted with Ollie was to lure Haaland. It's only explanation. I don't agree with that, Robin. And imagine if United plan B is Southgate or Howe, just another manager who would twerk for the Glazers. Grant, look, the best thing the Glazers can do if they want to lose fans is get Southgate, because I won't watch United managed by Southgate. I'll cry and throw up. I think he's a terrible manager. Was that not why Liverpool failed for so long? They tried to repeat a legacy. Yeah, they did, Dale. Mark, and then, you know, the hilarious thing about United at the moment is, and it's just, I've said this before, we will talk about Conte, but the hilarious thing about United is, right, Liverpool tried to do what we're doing. After Dalglish, they tried to keep the boot room mentality, you know, getting people like Roy Evans in and trying to stay, you know, Liverpool way. And they did it for years and they failed. And then eventually they went and got Jurgen Klopp. And instead of him coming from Aberdeen and going to Manchester United, he came from Dortmund and went to Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp's quite similar to Sir Alex Ferguson in the way that he plays football, in the way that his personality is, and in the way his passion is to rebuild a club that he had no attachment to, but instantly came in. I mean, you'd think Jurgen Klopp's been a Liverpool fan all his life and played for them. He hasn't. But he embodies what Liverpool's all about. And Sir Alex Ferguson came down and did that. So Liverpool found success by copying what United... Well, not copying, but by doing a similar thing to United. Bringing in a great manager who's done really good against big teams in a different league who sort of fits with your club. What do United do after Sir Alex Ferguson? They decide to go and never pick a manager like that. You know, Moyes wasn't that. Mourinho wasn't that. And Van Gaal wasn't that. And then they tried to do what Liverpool did that didn't work. It's like nobody's done any bloody research. United need a Klopp. They need a Ferguson. They need a manager that's good, that's going to bring their own identity, but really that befits the club, but doesn't have to play for the club. Mark, in my opinion, Ten Hag is up and coming. It's always a step up coming to United, whether Ajax or Southampton. Isn't the style of play factor. His style is exciting. Conte 2 to 3 years will blow up, says Joshua. I want to just say as well, big shout out to that super chat from Dale, because it really did pinpoint that point there. Hi Mark, would be interested in giving the tactical side of Ollie and his replacement, or what the current squad would need. Is that something possible, says Ilias? And it's not probably, Mark. Romano confirms your statement. Pogba won't sign as long as Ollie is here. This club is shambolic, with a hint of nepotism, says Tabrez. Tabarek, thank you for the super chat. Conte is a top 5 manager in the world. The only reason the club is hoping Ollie turns it round is because Conte will make it known, says Sean Turner. We are going to talk about Conte. David, Ollie should have gone after we lost 4-0 to Everton in 2019. The underlying problems which have caused the 5-0 have been there since after Ollie's first winning run ended against Arsenal, which is why he shouldn't have given the contract till the summer, because that happened instantly after the contract, didn't it? Do you think if Pogba is back from red card ban, Ollie would play Pogba and Donny, or he'd stick with McFred? Pogba will not be back, Karan, until after the Watford game. He'll miss Spurs, Man City and Watford, which is after the international break. Mark Ogden effectively said on Romano's show that Ollie is gone if he loses one of the next 3. One loss would force action in the international break. Well, Alex, this is why the club pisses me off as well. I will never want United to lose, but there will be fans now who are so fed up that he's not been sacked that they'll be saying, I hope we lose a game. How sad is it that a United fan has to want to lose a game of football to get something done that competent owners would have done at the start of the week? Now, I will not be that fan. I want us to beat Spurs, I want us to beat Atalanta, and I want us to beat Man City. But I want Ollie gone. And if he wins those 3, he'll still be here. And that's down to the board. It's not Ollie's fault. It's not my fault. It's not your fault. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous that we are having to lose another game for him to be gone. And if that's true, it's ridiculous. I find the past 8 years stressful and tiring. Would you ever just stop watching United under this ownership for your mental health, says Gordon? No, because I think that's what support is. And there's so many clubs that and fans out there that are in a much worse situation than us. And I'm not talking about Premier League clubs. I mean, imagine supporting some of these teams that have nearly gone out of business, like Macclesfield, and clubs that have gone out of business. So, you know, we're fortunate to support Manchester United, but it doesn't mean it's not stressful. Look at Chelsea standards. How long would you think Ollie would have lasted at Chelsea? Look at Lampard. Oh, he'd be gone. He'd be gone at any other club, Lee. 100%. 100%. I can't think of a club that he'd still be at. It really is silly. But look, let's talk about Conte for a moment, because look, I'm going to sit here. 9 million a year for freestyle football. Apparently that's what Ollie gets if he gets sacked. £7.5 million. Has Ronaldo's transfer ruined United? I could talk about that on a show in itself. Remind me about this tomorrow night. I would love to talk about Ronaldo ruining United. Oh my God, it's just so funny. So Cristiano Ronaldo is the reason we're failing. Put your head in the toilet and shit out your mouth, because that's what you're doing. You're talking crap. The reality is, Cristiano Ronaldo has got nothing to do with United being shit. We were crap last season. We got away with it. There were so many games last season that we played rubbish football and we got away with it. All that's happened is that teams have figured us out and we're not getting lucky anymore. That's all that's happened. It's got nothing to do with Ronaldo or VARAN or Sancho or anything like that, or Pogba or Bruno. Bruno's created more chances than anybody in the Premier League this season, by the way. So this is just bad coaching. What does the director of football do? Me as well not have one. It's like the Glazers put a label on a waste bin for the sake of it. Well, our director of football, Bendy, was already at the club. They just moved him into a position and pretended that it was a director of football. All this talk about Conte being like Mourinho. He left Juve in a great position, literally reinvented the club. Only similarities, they love to win. Right, let's talk about Conte for a few minutes. All we're going to talk about is Conte for the next few minutes. So if you want to do a super chat or whatever, we're talking Conte. Bayern's losing 3-0 right now. Knowing them, they will sack Julian and we can get him. Just kidding. Much respect, Mark, says Cold Dish. And I know you said you didn't want another ex-player, but what do you think about the idea of Rooney coming in? Oh my God, no, Gavin, don't. I know you're probably doing it for a laugh. Why would you want Wayne Rooney at Manchester United? Like, he's done an okay job at Derby, but why would you give him the Man United? I don't want an ex... Look, come back to me in a couple of years' time, right here, right now. If I never see an ex-United player coach or manage Man United again, I'll be very happy. it's damaged me. It's damaged me. I don't want it anymore. But look, Pochettino, before I talk about Conte, there's been some stories today that United really want Pochettino. I wouldn't fall for this trap. You know why United want Pochettino, in my opinion? Because they can't get Pochettino. What's the best? What have United been doing for years with transfers after a bad result? We're going to get Bale. We're going to get Ronaldo. And I know we have got Ronaldo now, but it wasn't after a bad result. It was in the middle of a transfer window, or was it at the end of a transfer window? United will chuck something out there to get you excited that's never going to happen. I think that King Conte Inter's melt. I think that the Pochettino stuff is being put out there so that they can buy time. It's all about time. Move as far away from that Liverpool loss as you can and people will forget. It's like the Super League. Move away from the Super League as far as you can and people will forget. They want to keep Ollie in a job. And what's the best way to keep Ollie in a job? We want Pochettino, but we can't get him at the moment. Maybe in the international break. We can't get Pochettino. Even if PSG sack him, he's probably got something in his contract that doesn't let him go to another club, and unless he you know, it might be like 20 million. You can't go for another club for 6 months, or you get compensation of 20 million. We're not going to get Pochettino, but I think Pochettino is being put out there because United want to keep Ollie, and they're like, we want Pochettino. That's what we're waiting for, and then fans will think we'll get Pochettino in the international break, and then it'll be 2 weeks after Liverpool, and they won't be as angry anymore. Oh, may as well just stick with Ollie. I think Pochettino is a PR spin by the club to just keep us away from, you know, wanting Ollie out right now. Mark, are you worried about Ollie's legacy? Could be potentially be the manager who was in charge whilst Liverpool levelled up our league titles. It's funny, Amites, you know, it's funny you say that, because I remember saying on this show a few times over the last few years, if you're Manchester United manager when Liverpool win the league, you should be sacked. And obviously when they won the league, I wasn't Ollie out, and I was just like, well, you know, it's unfortunate. And I think it was unfortunate that he was the manager at the time that Liverpool won the league, because there wasn't much anybody could do to stop Liverpool. But his legacy ain't great, is it? Liverpool win the league for the first time in 30 years. Man City nearly did a bloody quadruple, didn't they? Thank God they didn't. Conte and the Man United board is nuclear implosion waiting to happen. Conte left Chelsea and Inter because he wasn't given free reins and financial backing. It reeks of a Mourinho meltdown, says Mr. Glenn Johnson. The problem is most of these fans don't actually watch United play a game, hence all the silly comments that come out of their mouths, says Jayesh. And winning is United way. Conte have won it all, places he's been. Most I want to now is to get my club start winning things again, says Arpit. Right, we're talking Conte. The first thing I'm going to say about Conte is that I've been messaged by a lot of Chelsea fans, and my dad actually supports Chelsea. And all I've been told by these Chelsea fans is, we don't want you to get Conte. That's a big hint. You know, when rival fans want us to keep Ollie, that's a big hint that he's not very good. When people don't want you to get a certain manager, that's a real big hint. When it's from a club that he's managed before, that's a super hint that there's something about Conte that's very good. Because Chelsea fans don't want us to get Conte. And he's managed their club. So that's one thing. Conte comes highly recommended from another Premier League club that's very successful, Chelsea. The second thing about Conte is, and I remember in the summer, now I've been very honest, I don't want Conte because I don't like a back five. That's my big issue with Conte. I don't like a back five. It's very simple. But in the summer, when he was talking to Spurs, I thought if Spurs got Conte, I was like, that's a great deal for them. Because he's a winner, he's Premier League proven, and he's very driven. And I was like, if Spurs get Conte, that's really good. So there's two big positive things about Conte before we get into what he is and what it means for United. We want to win. Manchester United want to win. Well, this is a guy that I think is a winner. And all I'm hearing is he's a winner. And he ain't 66 and past it. He's still relatively young. And he's a winner, and he's driven, and he's passionate. Well, I'm on board. I'm sorry, I'm on board at this point because I don't know how to explain it without not being offensive, but at the moment, it's like swimming in a swimming pool full of shit. And Conte's there with a lovely hot shower and a towel and some wash and go. You know, it's like, I'll keep swimming here, thanks. It's like, no, I'll just do a couple more laps because it might be Zidane holding the shower. I mean, I'm getting out, I'm getting washed, I'm getting clean. You know, it's like that, to me, I don't understand. Beggars can't be choosers, I suppose. And I don't understand why people are going, I don't want Conte. I just don't. There's something about Conte. I just do not want Conte. And I'm like, do you realise what's happening right here, right now? We're a laughing stock. We're a mess. I don't mind if Conte comes in and it goes wrong. At this point, I don't want it. Of course, I don't want it to happen. But it's very obvious that if it's Ollie or Conte, it's Conte. And it seems to me at the moment, it's Ollie or Conte. Right here, right now. And United have gone, nah. Again, incompetence. Spin, spin, spin. And look, maybe the only reason I don't think they want Conte is pure incompetence, is because he is successful. He comes into a club and he doesn't take any shit and his drive to win. And United don't want that. United want like a puppet on a string, ding, ding, ding. That's the sort of manager they want. Somebody who comes in and goes, yeah, we'll keep the ex-players in, we'll keep Murta, Woody, I'm here to be your puppet. And Conte won't do that. So all these leaks about Conte's style of play, he breaks clubs up, he does this, he does that, I don't buy it. I think it's just pure, they don't want somebody to come into that football club who knows what they're doing. And I don't think that's why they want Zidane either. United are desperate for Solskjaer. I feel sorry for Ollie. I think he's been left in a situation that nobody really wants to be in, because it's a lose-lose. But the club have kept him there because he protects them and he maintains the status quo. They don't want to win trophies. They want to be in the top four and make money. And if Ollie could have done that year in, year out, they'd be very happy with it. And I'll tell you why they're sticking by Ollie as well. Because even though things are terrible, who's going to get fourth place this year? Do you think Arsenal are consistent enough? Do you think Leicester are consistent enough? Do you think Spurs are consistent enough? Do you think West Ham are consistent enough? Or do you think United can still play shit and get fourth place? I think the Glazers have looked at that and gone, even if we're really crap, I still think we can get enough points to get fourth place, in which case we've won. There's a lack of ambition, there's a total incompetency, and I think this week we've seen that in clear and present danger, that they could have sacked Ollie and brought Conte in right now. Romano, Di Marzio, loads of people have let it be known that Conte will drop everything and come to Manchester United today. And United have gone, no. Now, of course, there's a bigger conversation about style of play, but I can't be asked to have that conversation because look at the mess we're in. Look at who owns us. Look at the ambition to the football club. And yet we're going to stay with that because Conte might play a style of football we don't like. It's the style of football I don't like. But I tell you what I do like. I like to see a bit of passion. I like to see some good football. And I like to see us winning. And I think they've missed a trick. Conte leaves teams because he's a winner and wants control so he can keep winning. I'm sorry, but I want to win and I want Conte, says Sean Turner. I love how people doubt Conte and his formation, yet Tuchel plays the same formation and people praise him and his tactics. Well, CT, exactly. How many of you would take Tuchel and he plays the same but he plays the same system, more or less? They don't want someone who comes in and wins the league because the standard goes back up, says Jacob. They don't want a winner. They don't want somebody who comes in and wants to win and embarrasses them when they leave. Because Conte leaves a winner, you're right. He leaves because he's at odds with what the club's ambitions are. He wins a league and he wants to win a Champions League. And it's like, they don't want to do it. All right, I'm off. That's why United don't want him. I'm not, call our bluff, United. He's there right now. Go and get him. Oh, an ex-player says he's not right. Bullshit. You don't want him because he will succeed and he will demand success. Like the fans want. They don't want someone who comes in. Okay, we've done that one. And though I prefer Zidane to Conte based on the make of our squad, he has proved adaptable to a situation which he would have to do if he came here. Plus, he wins, says Sean Finity. The interesting thing I would go for Zidane over Conte. I've said that before. I'm not overly enamoured with Conte. I've said that. But the way this week has gone, I would just do the Conte thing, 100%, because it's the right thing to do. And I actually think Conte would turn this squad around quicker than Zidane. With Zidane, I think he would take a little bit longer to sort things out. I do think Conte, and the way his personality is and the way he coaches, he's very quick at turning things around. And that's what United need. Yes, he can be a bit short term, but in that short term, he succeeds. He can come in and change things very, very quickly. I'm amazed United haven't done it. I am. But look, hypothetically, you bring Conte in and he plays a back five. Do I like that? No. What I would think is De Gea in goal. I would have Telles left wing back. I would mould Sancho into a right wing back. I would put Varane as the right centre back because he can move across. I would put Luke Shaw as the left-sided centre back, and I would probably be looking to buy somebody for the other centre back, whether it be a Skriniar that he could bring in, or even someone like a Tomori from AC Milan. I don't think Maguire's ever going to suit a back five, to be honest. Midfield 2, look, he's going to have to buy a CDM. In the short term, I think he could get away with using Matic and maybe Pogba or Donny, Bruno, and then your front 2, Ronaldo, Martial, Ronaldo, Cavani, Ronaldo. But the big problem is, where's Harry Maguire? Where's Marcus Rashford? Where's Mason Greenwood? And don't for 1 minute think that United aren't thinking that. United will look at things like that. Marcus Rashford's got to start every game because it's Marcus Rashford. Harry Maguire's got to start every game because it's Harry Maguire. I think that's another reason with Conte. Like, he wouldn't just pick people on reputation. He'd pick people on suits his system. I thought Marcus Rashford's a fantastic player. I think Harry Maguire's a very good centre-back. But if I'm honest, in a 5-3-2, I don't see where they fit in because I don't like Rashford as a straight-out forward and he's definitely not a wing-back. So, it's what I talk about. I'm not comfortable with it because I don't like a back five for the reasons there. Where does Greenwood fit in? You'd have to adapt Sancho into a right wing back. Where does Rashford fit in? But we're now not sacking a manager because we're worried about the right manager for the job playing in a different way. And this is why, for me, it's new United. It's a brave new world. Is that not the whole point of change? I think everyone's locked in on what Ollie's trying to do and he's failed to do. But that's Ollie's story and he failed. When you press the stop button and you put something else in, they don't have to do it the way Ollie did. They do it the way they did. It's new United. And if you're going to play a back five, and Ollie might play a back five on Sunday, if Ollie plays a back five on Saturday, why is Conte not in charge? Because if you want to play a back five to try and stop conceding goals or whatever, you should have got bloody Conte in. So it's just going to be very interesting the next couple of days. The press conference, how we play against the next 3 days, how we play against Spurs on Saturday. Conte can't get any worse than what we have as playing style. Doesn't bother me if we can get back winning, says Johnny B. But the trouble is, Conte's playing style is not negative. It's the back five. I just don't like the back five or the back three with the wing backs. I don't like that. But that could be the new world for United. We can't always play 4-4-2. We don't play 4-4-2. We can't always play with wingers. Playing with wingers at the moment is leaving us massively exposed. So, new United, in 50 years' time, will we be playing with wingers? I doubt it. God knows what new formations there'll be then. So, I think new United means new United. And that's what we need to do. Look what it did for Labour. If you want politics. People who moan about Conte's style, I don't even get them because right now we don't even have a style of play. We're hoping on moments from our starters. Arjun, there's two things said about Zidane and Conte which are just ridiculous. The Zidane one is that he's just a French Ollie. He doesn't coach. Ollie's got some of the best players in the world and we're playing crap football. Zidane had some of the best players in the world and he won 3 Champions Leagues. There's no comparison. And the other thing with Conte is he's just an Italian Mourinho. He's not an Italian Mourinho. His football is actually quite entertaining to watch. It's just not what we're used to because we're not used to having a back five at United, but it's entertaining to watch. He's a winner. His pressing is very good. And I tell you what, anybody who doesn't want Conte, I will say this right now. The second he's on the touchline at Old Trafford, he'll become a legend. They'll love him. Because he's passionate, he wants to win, and he'll be wearing a blazer with a United thing on it. They'll love Conte at Manchester United at Old Trafford. They'll absolutely love him. I don't think he's going to get the job, but they'll love him. And you know what? We need that. We need a new page, we need a new start, and we need a new United. And are we going to get it? I'm not convinced. I think the ownership is the problem, and I think they're going to force feed us this situation for a long time to come. Conte ain't stupid. He knows about our owners. Still, he wants us. He is a winner. Just look at his passion. Long term doesn't exist in pro football, says Tabrez. And talk out of the club is looking for a manager for long term with focus on youth and United traditions, says Mojo. I couldn't give a shit about this. I don't give a shit about this anymore. Focus on long-term youth and traditions. I mean, does that even work in the modern game? Long-term. Tuchel's just come into Chelsea and took them from nowhere to Champions League in 6 months. What's this long-term crap? Why? You know, I always say this about the Glazers. Long-term is a shortened down version of basically we just want to make money over the next 6 years by lowering expectations. That's what long-term is. Long-term is not something to clap your hands about. Promoting youth, if you're good enough, you'll come through. Mason Greenwood. He'd go through in Man City, Liverpool. Mason Greenwood would play anywhere because he's generational. So that's your youth thing. Promote good youth players. Man United traditions, well, what's our traditions been for the last 9 years? I haven't seen United play the United way in nearly a decade. So what are they talking about traditions? And also, the Glazers don't know what the traditions are, and Ed Woodward's a bloody CEO who's just seen shit football for 8 years. So, you know, traditions, they're talking out their arse. Youth will always bring youth players through if they're good enough, and long-termism doesn't even exist anymore because of what Tuchel's done. Mark Ogden interview was interesting, but why the club's only considering ex-players as an interim manager? Exactly, they're obsessed with it, says Gordon Murray. Conte also plays 3-4-3, Mark. He played that with Chelsea with Hazard and Pedro. He did, and it was very good, Shaf, and he can do it. It's definitely an interesting time for our club. It's just so sad to see it being run like this, says Johnny B. Mark, Ollie's presser will be a farce. What they're going to ask him? Why he's still here, says Andy and Bruno. I'm not looking forward to that presser. Either I'm going to come out of it feeling really sad because I feel sorry for him, or I'm going to come out of it feeling very pissed off because of the same old crap that gets spoken about time and progress and, you know, we're on the right path and all that. If Conte comes in and Cavani and probably Martial leaves next year, why not swap between Greenwood and Rashford next to Ronaldo? Exactly. There's loads of stuff we could do. JDR. Conte managed Pogba and he also wanted Martial at Inter, and I think he would choose Eric Bailly over Magaluf. That's my opinion. Thoughts? That's probably a reason they won't go for him, Harry. But look, all I can say is I'm not convinced about Conte, but if he was announced as United manager tonight, I'd be very excited. And mainly it's because of what Chelsea fans have been saying and, you know, some of the research I've done, what I remember of him. And also, he's a winner. And we need a winner. We need a new United. And I don't think we're going to get one with this current regime who are intent on, you know, manipulating and not waking up to the real world, that they've done a lot of bad things. They've done a lot of bad things. And in life, when you've done a lot of bad things, you need to, you know, put your hands up and say, we've done some bad things, how do we learn? And they refuse to do it. They're arrogant. They just keep making bad decision after bad decision. And if you're in the club with United, like some journalists, it's like you're in the club. And you know who they are because you can see how they've acted over the last 5 days. But they never open their eyes to what you or I are saying because, you know, we care about the club and we want it to improve, but nah, they're just social media. They're not, you know, they don't really matter. Oh, you want to buy a Ronaldo shirt? Yeah, you know, it's the club is inward. They don't look outwards. It's an arrogant, closed shop club. And we're in the hands of these people. The problem with Ollie is that he's only one formation. How hard is it for the other managers to figure out how United are going to play? Says Frederick. Well, look, it's going to be a very interesting watch along on Saturday. It's going to be a very interesting next few days. Because, you know, I've never really been in a situation where I'm watching a United side and the manager shouldn't be there, but I want it to win. It's just a weird situation. Liverpool fans singing Ollie at the wheel against Preston, says Andrew. See, if we had football owners in charge, they'd notice that and they'd be fuming. But Glazers are probably still trying to buy the cricket club in India. And Woodward's probably playing Sudoku or counting his bank balance. I don't know. I really wish we could beg David Gill to come back to help fix this mess, says Daniel White. Some of these super chats trying to find a system to include Greenwood and Rashford. However, the next manager would not tolerate not tracking back, says Dewan. I don't care who plays for United under the next manager. I've got no problem with any player. Maybe McTominay will be this player that everyone talks about under Conte or Zidane. Maybe, you know, and if he is, fair play. Maybe Fred will be. It's a clean slate. If there's any players out there watching, listening or whatever, I would say this. Nobody's got a problem with you as an individual player. And you will all get a clean slate under a new manager. But under this regime, people are just fed up with it. So your siege mentality, well, if you want to back Ollie, that's up to you, isn't it? But I don't have a problem with any player. I don't. I don't think some of them are good enough over some people that aren't getting a chance, but under a different manager, maybe I think we would see a different McTominay under Conte. I do, because he'd be coached better. So, the players don't... For me, the players are not involved in this. The players would get a clean slate under another manager anyway. Conte brings discipline, fighting attitude, strategy, excellent experience, and someone that Klopp, Pep and Tuchel will fear. Yep, Omka. Watch United giving the job to Pochettino in a couple of weeks. He's the perfect future project manager, says Fingers. I personally think Pochettino is a smokescreen to buy Ollie time and we'll never get him. Bayern are losing 5-0. I think Ollie went to coach them, says Cold Dish. Look, it's been a long show tonight. I didn't realise we'd overrun a little bit. But look, thanks everybody. Some fantastic comments and chat as ever. Loads to discuss at the moment. We'll be back in the morning at 10 o'clock. Got a preview tomorrow as well. Do you think the Glazers even comprehend the 5-0 scoreline? No, David. I don't. They're not engaged in football. They're engaged in making money out of this football club. And it's a horrible way to be run, but we've known this for a long time. Make sure you check out Manscaped on the video description. You can get 20% off, and that is on the video description for you, so make sure you hit that. 20% off and free worldwide shipping. I will speak to you all in a little bit. Thanks for watching.